Welcome to the Monday Monologue. Today we're going to talk about how we're shifting gears on our next project. Two things that were happening. One is, right now I'm just not really jumping up and down about building a high-powered push-pull amp. And I've got other projects in the works too. Really want to do this 2A3. Couple of reasons. I have all the stuff here to do it the way I want to do it. I've got these really cool, these are some 2A3 C-Z treasure tubes. Got a couple of those, these black coated ones that the 300B versions of these tubes sound amazing. I'm sure this 2A3 will as well. These black coated tubes are awesome. Hammond started making a power transformer specifically for a 2A3 amp. It's got the right voltage, it's got a 5-volt winding, a pair of 2.5 volts, and also got a 6.3 volt for the driver tube. So it's got everything you need in this one power transformer. I got a couple of Hammond output transformers that I found on eBay that are triode only, no ultralinear taps. So perfect project for them. I can paint these black to match the Hammond. It's all going to look beautiful. And got a surprise up my sleeve for the driver tube, which I'm not going to give you a spoiler on that, but I think this is going to be a really cool amp. 47 just got in another 27 tube that's a Cunningham tube that hopefully will match the other tube I have. I've been struggling to get the heaters balanced, but we'll go over that. Probably should have done the heater setup a little differently than I ended up doing, but I'm this far in. I'm going to keep going and try to get that solved. So got an ST35 push-pull amp too that I've got all the stuff for. On the KT88 amp, I'm realizing that the power transformers that I have a pair of these big Hammond laydowns. I don't think they've got enough voltage. And it would probably be perfect. Well, I know they're perfect for an EL34 amp because that's what I'm using in my 6SQ7 EL34 amp. That's my personal one. But I don't think they've got enough voltage to run a KT120 or a KT88 to the voltages that they want to see to really perform well. So I'm going to have to order some power transformers to do that project anyway. So that's the gears we're shifting. Like I said, we're going to finish up this 47. Then we're going to work on this 2A3 amp, which shouldn't take long to kind of throw this thing together. So that'll be a fun project. And again, Hammond has a power transformer that's made for these. And so makes the project a lot less complex. And these output transformers are, it's not going to be something that's hard to find. And so even for you folks over in Europe that can't get ED cores, this is going to shift away from my normal kind of ED core build. So anyway, I think that's going to turn out really fun. What I really wanted to talk to you today about is retail selling some of my gear and what that would need to look like. And I've really been honest about the time that I spend building an amplifier. And I know when I first started this channel and was talking about possibly doing some retail sales of pre-built products, the price point that I was considering just is not reasonable. I mean, it takes days of labor to build some of these amps, sometimes a week. And for me to make, $100 profit off of a week's work is ridiculous. And there's no way that I can sell this stuff at the price point. So I know a lot of people are excited about, hey, here's somebody new in the market that can build a really high quality amp for the same price that these made in China ones cost, or not a lot more. That's just not realistic. And there's a reason why that quality made in the USA amplifiers cost what they do. By the time you figure in the labor and all the parts and quality parts, not China junk transformers and clone resistors, and you put like quality Mundorf caps and stuff in them, it's expensive. And Like I've been selling a few of my builds here locally to friends of mine. This last week I sold one of my 6SQ7 EL34 amps, and he was happy to pay $1,500 for it. And then paid another $500 for a phono stage. And I know internet world people are probably thinking, oh, I can buy one of those board kits on eBay for $75. Why is that worth $500 after you've built it? Well, because I had to buy the chassis, the transformer, the chokes, just the coupling caps are almost $100. And by the time I do the fab work on the chassis and then, paint the chassis and let it dry and then, assemble everything and solder the board up and checking every resistor that I put in it, and then I know what tubes to put in it that's going to sound really good, and then give them a test run. I've got several days in a build, plus a couple $100 in parts over what the kit cost. And if I sold it for less than $500, I'm losing money. And then I'm sure people are like, well, I can buy this thing off a China website or AliExpress or whatever that place is, or, for $600 or $700 you can buy, those shit Lokis or the shit, whatever the phono stage is. You can buy one of those for less than $500. But I've tried those. They don't sound as good as this tube one does. And it might be a China clone board, but it's still a really good preamp. So, and like my 300B build, for that to be worth it, for the time that I take building one of those, that needs to sell for $2,000. Or, to me, it's not worth it. I mean, I may have $1,000, or I think it's close to $1,100 worth of parts in it, but there's a lot of labor into building one of those because they're hand built. They're not being built, in mass production where you have 50 chassis made. I'm hand fabbing the chassis one at a time, and to get to the point where the chassis were being fabbed by somebody else, you're going to need to do a run of probably 50 of them. And I don't have that kind of money to invest in a speculative thing to then, try to assemble 50 of those amps and then hope I can sell them. And so, anyway, I guess what I'm asking is, do y'all think those prices are unreasonable? I mean, when I see other people selling things that I feel are ridiculous for, $25,000 for speaker cables and stuff, I don't think asking $2,000 for a hand-built 300B amp, especially if it's coming with tubes and everything, is ridiculous. And I know that's twice what an A50 cost, but look at what a piece of crap those A50s are out of the box. Or the same thing with an A12. And while my 6SQ7 EL34 amp, it does perform better than an A12 even after the mods, and the transformers aren't getting hot, there's quality parts in it, and I don't know if people think that amp's worth $1,500, but to me, it needs to be around that price point to be worth building for people. So, I'm kind of thinking about maybe just putting these things out there for those kind of prices on a special order basis, and, it might take 6 months to build it, depending on if I'm using Ed core iron and have to order it and wait, or things outside of my control, especially with the supply chain stuff. So I'm kind of be interested to hear in the comments whether you think that's kind of a path that might be viable. I've thought more and more about the kits, but there's so much of the labor is involved in the actual fab work, and I just don't think I could put together a run of enough kits to make it worth going to a fab shop to have them prefabbed by someone else. So, or I may just end up making YouTube videos. I don't know. Anyway, that's kind of where we're at this week. I am going to try to jump back on the 47 amp. Probably going to try to crank out a video tomorrow on where I'm at on that amp. and then it might be early next week before we're back in video mode. So anyway, if you're enjoying my channel, enjoying this content, please subscribe, please like the video, and we'll see you next week for the Monday Monologue.